Welcome back, dear listeners. This is the 8-Minute English podcast series on the Learn English podcast channel. I'm your host, Nathan, and I'm thrilled to have you joining us once again. In this episode, we're going to explore a topic that often sparks a lot of discussion. Is alcohol good or bad? From social events to personal health, alcohol is important in many cultures around the world. But is it truly a friend or an enemy? Today, we will hear from two friends sharing their thoughts on how alcohol affects our daily lives. Bonus alert! We've also prepared a free PDF packed with vocabulary and helpful tips for this episode to enhance your learning. Make sure you don't miss it. Are you ready for the discussion? Let's tune in.
Cheers, Joe. So red wine again next Saturday?
Studies say it's good for the heart, right?
Right. Some studies say that moderate drinking, like a glass of wine, can help lower the risk of heart disease.
But too much alcohol can be bad news.
True.
I wouldn't want to deal with another hangover like last week's.
Yeah, those are rough. But it's not just hangovers. Drinking too much can lead to serious health problems, like liver damage and risks of certain cancers.
It's truly important to find the right balance when it comes to alcohol.
Definitely, moderation seems to be key.
Speaking of hangovers, remember that time at Sarah's after-work drinks?
It was the worst hangover. I felt so much better being sober the next day. But you know what? In the moment, it was a blast. We were all having a great time, cracking jokes, and just having fun. It's like alcohol has the power to make everything more fun and exciting. It's like a way to start conversations, you know?
Yeah, it can be a nice way to start talking and feel more relaxed with others. But like everything, too much can have the opposite effect. Things can get a little messy when there's too much alcohol involved.
Yeah, like when people get into fights or say things they regret when they're drunk.
People like those should be more careful about their actions when they drink. On a different note, have you ever noticed how some cultures seem much more relaxed about drinking than others?
I do notice the difference. In places like Italy or France, wine is almost like a normal part of meals. But then there are cultures where drinking is more restricted, like in many Muslim countries.
I see. It's all about the cultural norm and value that shape how people think about alcohol. And speaking of alcohol, have you ever thought about how it affects our mental health?
Oh, for sure. I mean, a couple of drinks can help you relax and unwind after a long day, right?
Yeah, that's true. It can feel like a temporary escape from stress or anxiety. But on the flip side, too much drinking can make mental health problems worse, like depression or anxiety.
It's truly a double-edged sword. It's good to have some rules about drinking alcohol.
Speaking of rules, what about alcohol and the law? There are rules in place to make sure drinking is done responsibly, right?
Absolutely. There are legal rules about how alcohol is used. These include the legal age for drinking and laws against driving under the influence of alcohol.
Absolutely no excuse for that. It puts everyone on the road at risk. But beyond the legal stuff, I think it all comes down to personal responsibility.
Yeah, we can't mess with alcohol like personal treat.
Absolutely. We should always know our limits and make responsible choices. Chloe and Joe's conversation has provided a lot of useful information on alcohol, right? Now let's move on to the next part. Let's talk about some important words related to alcohol. The first word is hangover. A hangover is when you feel bad after drinking too much alcohol. Hangovers happen because you drank too much. The next word is damage. The word damage means harm or injury that makes something less useful or valuable. For example, if you drop your phone and the screen breaks, the phone has damage. It's not as good as before because of the harm. Next, we have sober. Being sober means you are not drunk. People are sober when they haven't had alcohol for a while. Now, let's talk about moderation. Moderation means drinking alcohol, but not too much. Drinking a little, like a glass of red wine at dinner, can be good for your heart. The phrase, a double-edged sword, means something that has both good and bad effects. Imagine a sword that can cut from both sides. While it might be more useful in a fight because it can cut in two ways, it's also more dangerous to the person using it because they can easily hurt themselves. So, when something is a double-edged sword, it can help but also cause problems. Let's listen to Joe and Chloe's conversation again, and this time, try to identify these words. Let's look at two important questions about our topic. The first question, should alcohol be completely banned, or should people have the freedom to drink it responsibly? For me, banning alcohol completely seems too strict. People who can handle it responsibly should be allowed to enjoy it in moderation. The second question, how can we have fun at parties with alcohol but still drink responsibly? I think the answer is to know your limits and have other drink options. Having tasty non-alcoholic drinks or sparkling water available keeps the fun going in a safe way. Let's share your thoughts on these questions. Please leave your comments below and let's talk about it. Before wrapping up today's episode, let's explore some of the fun facts about alcohol. In Russia, vodka is their national drink, and there's a practical reason for that. Vodka can withstand freezing cold temperatures without turning into an ice cube. Perfect for those long, snowy nights. The next one is for beer lovers. Believe it or not, beer is actually one of the most popular drinks in the world, right alongside water and tea. Now, this one might seem obvious, but it's worth mentioning. While some people might have a drink to cope with negative experiences, alcohol is actually a depressant. So, if you're feeling down, maybe stick to tea. It won't bring you down further. Now, all these fun facts aside, it's important to remember that alcohol is a substance that needs to be treated with caution. Always drink responsibly, know your limits, and pace yourself. And that's the end of our episode for today. Goodbye, and see you again